Hey guys, it's the Jed. I'm back at West Valley Cycle Sales in Los Angeles, and today we're going to do a demo ride on a 2020 F900R. So there's a 2020 F900R in Hockenheim Silver Metallic and Racing Red. It's got the style package, it's got dynamic traction control, dynamic engine brake control, ABS Pro, connectivity, market launch equipment. It comes in at a suggested retail price of $9,740. Let's get a little look around. Got black cast wheels with dual Brembo radial mounted 4-piston brakes up front. LED headlight. In the dash you've got BMW's TFT display. This one is not keyless ride. You can see the key there in the ignition. There is your water-cooled 2-cylinder inline 895cc engine that puts out 99 horsepower at 8,500 RPM. It's got a 3.4 gallon tank. Pretty handsome muffler. There's your single piston, single Brembo in the back. Your view from behind. Chain drive. Really quite a lot of bike for the price. We're going to take it for a ride and see what we think about it. Let's get going. Let's get on this F900R and see what it's all about. There's the TFT. Nice startup. Posture on this. Well, let's wait until we're going. So for me, right off the bat, this is not a bike I could see myself on long term. Pegs are in a fairly aggressive position for me, and I am in a more aggressive riding position than is comfortable for somebody my age and in my shape. But you know, it's in terms of naked bikes, probably not a real aggressive rider's triangle. I'm not uncomfortably leaned over. I am certainly not putting a lot of pressure on my wrist, but I am. My torso is bent in a much more forward position than I typically ride in. For somebody younger wanting to get on a a pretty nice performance bike with 900 cc's and 99 horsepower as a daily rider, it's probably a great option. We're gonna take this on the same basic route as we took the R1250 GS demo. We'll kind of wind our way through some city streets and try to get up into the canyons to really get a good assessment of how this thing handles, how it performs. Coming off the GS and the boxer engine, this twin is really smooth. This gearbox is amazingly smooth. We don't have the Shift Assist Pro on this bike, so I can't compare that to the one on the GS, but just moving through the gearbox, very smooth. Really nicely powered. I'm in road mode here. It's not at all twitchy, but when you grab it, there's plenty there. I'm in 4th gear, cruising around between 4,000 and 5,000 RPM very easily at 50 miles an hour. In terms of passing, there's a 4th gear roll on for you. Very nice. Brakes, very adequate. That sounds like a misnomer. What I mean is very good. Stopping power feels excellent. It's quiet, pretty quiet bike. So let me say this, having been on it now for 2-3 miles, I'm a bit used to the posture already. I may have made it sound more extreme than it probably is. I think maybe with some bars with a little more rise, or maybe even some risers, I would probably find this bike a bit more comfortable for me. Again, that would probably affect handling negatively a bit. We will tell you what, let's get this thing on the 101. We'll take that up to Topanga Canyon and we'll get a sense of how it feels naked at freeway speeds. So we are in the entrance ramp to the 101 freeway here. Let's see how she does. So try not to get rear-ended by a Ford Fiesta or run into the Kia Rio in front of us. Alright, let's get a sense. Here we are in 4th gear, 6,000 RPM. 5th gear, 80 miles an hour at 5, maybe 5,200. Up to 6th gear, now we're cruising 4,500 RPM, 73, 75 miles an hour. Actually, surprisingly not getting a whole lot of buffeting out of this. Maybe it's the posture with my head forward a bit. If I'm up, I get more to the chest. But this is not an uncomfortable wind experience at all. Let's see if we can't get past this truck and get off at Topanga Canyon. Head turn and I get a bit of buffeting. You wouldn't buy this bike if you were planning on doing a whole lot of highway commuting anyway. So we'll exit here at Topanga Canyon Boulevard. Nice braking. Really nice tracking through that turn. Comfortable. Not at all surprising or scary, which is what we like when we're on a bike. As a lane splitter, I imagine this bike does quite well. A little tight there on the demo. I'm gonna refrain. Bit warm today. TFT is showing 97 degrees, so the airflow on this is welcome. It's Friday and it's nice to be on a bike. Normally it's Sunday before I am, or Saturday on the dirt bikes. It's been a while since I've been on a bike that didn't have keyless ride, and I have to remember to take that key with me when I stop. I guess having to turn it off will remind me. Keyless ride is a nice feature for sure. It's great not to have to dig into your pocket every time you get on the bike. On the other hand, having a key in the ignition takes away a degree of anxiety, I think, that your battery's gonna die or that your antenna is gonna malfunction when you are the farthest away from home. Probably most riders never stop to think about that, but the Jed does. And I think if I were a true hardcore adventure rider getting way off the grid, I would probably want a keyed ignition over a keyless one. On the higher end adventure bikes, I think it's getting harder and harder to get one with a keyed ignition. You're probably going to have to order it. On this bike I could go either way. I know I'm not going to be far from home if I'm on a bike like this. So if you're keeping score at home, we are now turning off Topanga Canyon and onto Mulholland Drive. Little historical side note, if you're not from the LA area, you may not know that Mulholland was the guy who brought water to LA. Somewhat controversial figure to a degree in how he did it. But Mulholland Drive is an iconic road in LA that's named after him. You may have heard it as well in the movie of the same name. Missed a shift there. Still getting used to this gearbox. I started off touting it for how smooth it is, and it is. I think I'm just spoiled by Shift Assist Pro, and got to get my timing down a little better. Not a ton of torque down low. I was in fourth gear there going around those cars and did not have a lot to grab at the low RPMs, but it came on quickly as my revs jumped up. My neck, I would say, in terms of the posture on this bike, for me the most uncomfortable thing is my neck. And that's me not being in the habit of supporting a helmet in this posture. I'm sure you would get used to that quickly as well. And I tend to have chronic neck and shoulder pain as I get to be an old gray-haired biker. Again, I'm probably not the demo for this bike, but it's fun being on it. I almost got into neutral there. There's got to be a trick to it that I don't know. We'll keep the revs down on this ride given a few miles are on this engine. Looks like it may be governed down during a break-in period as well. There's a bright line that goes up to 7,000 RPMs, but doesn't seem to go past it, so I'm guessing it's electronically governed. So I know that the suspension cannot be dialed in much, if at all, on this bike. I'm actually enjoying it. It's fairly stiff, which I like. It's got a nice road feel. I'm not getting a lot of bounce or sway. It's sticking to the road fairly nicely. I can compare that to the stock suspension on an R9T, which I have demoed, and I can tell you this feels a lot better to me than that did. That's comparing to an R9T pure suspension, not the classic, which I think is fully adjustable. And here we are at Stunt Road. If you watched the GS demo, you'll recall that this takes us up to the top of this canyon, and if we're lucky, we'll have a good view up there. Okay, this is a choppy section of road, and you do feel to a degree that this suspension could be better. Again, keep in mind the sticker price on this bike though. Not at all uncomfortable, not at all dangerous, not at all inadequate, but less capable of dampening or damping those irregularities in the road than some. Really sticking to these curves very nicely, and enjoyable carving experience. No hesitation at all. The dynamic traction control, if it is kicking in, is doing so in a completely unobtrusive way. Neck and shoulders are getting used to this. I'd say it's more comfortable now than it was when I got on it. It's a good sign. What a treat to be on this road with no traffic in the middle of the day on a Friday. Excuse me. Nice tracking through that turn. This really feels good on sort of semi-long sweeping turns. So a little hazy out over the ocean. Why don't we instead pull over on the valley side of things? It's also hazy over there, but we can park here, do a little bit of another walk around, and then head home. Ah, there's neutral. It's just a bit of a tight feeling in the shift lever. Handsome bike. We'll switch to the phone camera here in a second. This is our motorcycle riding playground on the weekends, and we're really lucky to have it. I'll tell you, it's a treat to see blue sky here today too. This was all smoke filled for the last couple of weeks, and really today is the first day we've had blue sky and clouds, and I'm thankful for it. I really am thankful for the firefighters and other first responders who are out fighting this thing all up and down the West Coast. Pretty horrific scenes. Let's get one more glamour session with this silver and red F900R 2020 from West Valley Cycle Sales in Winnetka, California, which is part of the Los Angeles West Valley. I love those gold forks. Nice the way they blacked the engine case and covers. I like the black wheels. Kind of cool to have that silver fender with the red and silver shroud and tank. Here's your dash and your TFT display firing up. Kind of cool. Very typical BMW mirrors. Typical controls. I could certainly see somebody wanting to put a tail tidy on this to clean up and reduce that rear assembly. That would be understandable. Your muffler. Nice bike. Water cooled, of course. And one last look before we head back. Let's do it. Okay, I lied. I made one stop on the way back to the dealer. I felt like we had to give the F900R the coffee house test, because if you're going to own one of these things, you're going to be going to get coffee on it, let's be honest. And it passed with flying colors. We're here at Gasolina in the valley. It's one of my favorite spots to get coffee. Now we're headed back to the dealer. Okay, y'all, we're gonna leave Gasolina and head back to the dealer. Hopefully they got my tires done. I lied about one thing. The rear suspension on this is preload adjustable, but the front is not. Deja Vu liquor store looks to be doing a brisk business. Oh, it just got passed. Wasn't sure what that bike was. Feels good to have a little bit of wind whipping through this mesh suit. as we head back to the dealer, let me give you some final impressions of this. Again, this cannot be a review because I've only been on this thing 30 miles. It is a perfectly fine motorcycle. I would be proud to own this bike. It would not be for me as it's currently set up, but I think if I got these bars just a touch higher, I could be comfortable on this bike for around town. I think lots of people would be comfortable on it as it is. I think the price point for this bike is right. It's a lot of bike for the money. I mean, really, at this price point, it also competes to a degree with the R9T from BMW. Different engine, of course, and I guess it probably comes in price-wise close to where a Pure would be. If you're in the market for a sub $10,000 bike, this is definitely one worth checking out if you're looking for something, you know, to bebop around town on, have fun on in the canyons. I wouldn't suggest long tours on this bike, but it's definitely a bike that is worthy of consideration in that price range, and one that you could really have fun with. This TFT display is really cool on a bike at this price point too. This brake setup is really cool on a bike at this price point. Having all of the technology on this bike in terms of ride modes, traction control, sophisticated anti-lock brakes is very cool at this price point. Now, if you go up a bit from this, there are certain things the dealer can add to this in terms of technology. B, you can get up to the XR, the 900XR, and get better suspension on the bike and get a lot of extras built in. So that's a consideration too. That's a higher price point, but same platform. I'm a big fan of Shift Assist Pro. That said, it is really nice to shift this bike. Still haven't figured out neutral well. It's definitely a stiff engagement, but I keep going past it to second gear. There must be a trick to it that I don't know. So listen, I want to thank the good folks at West Valley Cycle Sales for letting me demo another bike. If you like this bike, this 2020 F900R, it is for sale on their showroom floor. Stop by or give them a call. I'll put a link to their website and their phone number in the description below. Or if you're in the market for a BMW in general, I suggest you give them a try to earn your business. They're good folks. They are a small shop, but they're big on customer service, and I've enjoyed working with them. I want to thank you for coming along for the ride today, making a plea for you to hit that like button and please subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me grow the channel, which I'm anxious to do. I've enjoyed today, and I hope you have too, and I will see you next time.